Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this quick chat I am having with Vicky Winkler about product packaging design and pitfalls. So, Vicky has been in the industry for over 35 years, and today we are hoping that you're going to gain some valuable insights on marketing, branding, and package design overall. So, Vicky, you have a ton of experience in the product packaging design world. And you've probably seen a lot of things that go really well and maybe not always so well. So, what are some of those pitfalls that people can look out for and how to avoid them when they're going through this design phase?
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest one is to not be early on bringing in all the parties that should be brought in. We talked about this earlier about thinking about product photography. Well, most people aren't thinking about product photography when they're picking out what kind of pouch they're going to have. But it's important because you might need product photography for the actual contents of that bag or the pouch or the box. If people can't see it, photography is going to have to be part of the equation to make sure that you get that on the outside of the packaging. And so not having early on conversations, I think, is one of the biggest pitfalls. And to segregate, well, the product packaging person is helping me to pick out what kind of pouch I'm going to need. Well, before we do that, why don't we bring into the room and into the conversation the graphic designer, that would be our team, that is going to be helping with that, because there's questions that come up. Like, for example, well, we can't do gold foil on that type of a pouch. Okay, well, if we can't do gold foil, what can we do from a graphic design standpoint that can still achieve some great creativity and some really knock it out of the park packaging design, without being able to use that embossing or the foil or whatever might be the treatment or the finish or the design aspect that the client thinks that they want, but they can't get because of the choice that they've made, or the best choice for the packaging. So there's a lot of back and forth. And I think it's, being able to have most of the parties in the room that are going to be part of the ultimate design is going to we're going to be able to volley these things back and forth. Well, if embossing is something you want, but your time frame is this, well, maybe we need to do that in phase two of the packaging, because you have an immediate need right now to get this package done. So that's, bringing in the parties. I think that the other pitfall is not considering the overall branding. That there's the product itself, there's the product package, and then there's all the stuff that you say to the public. There's your social media and your logo and your brand and your colors, and it's a lot. It can be very overwhelming, but to have experts who can help you kind of step back and look at what are all the different aspects of this that are going to affect the branding, and make sure that all of those things are consistent. I always say, the consumer will notice when things are wrong, or that they don't fit, or something's not consistent. It just kind of gives that pause of, this doesn't seem right. Or when they actually get the product in their hands, well, this doesn't seem right because the product photography wasn't quite right. And so you want to make sure that that whole process from the customer standpoint is very comfortable, that they don't feel like at any stage that there's an inconsistency, that the product doesn't match the brand of what the company is. So that's probably the second biggest pitfall, is not having the packaging, the consideration of the branding of the company as a whole, be incorporated into the packaging.
I feel like a lot of what you're talking about is also education. And
So,
people jump into, I'm going to create this product and this is why I'm doing it. Now there's all these other elements that they don't know anything about.
yeah,
And finding the person who is the expert who also has the other resources to pull everything together and educate you on the do's and the don'ts is really important, rather just saying, well, you have a timeline of X, so this is all you get. Versus saying,
right,
great, this is how we can give you what you achieve and meet your timelines now,
right.
right? And like we were talking previously, a lot of brands go through too many rebrands of their packaging
Mhm.
because they're not putting in all that thought, or they don't have the expert there that can say, this might not be the best avenue for you to be going right now. And
Right.
save them a lot of time in the future when you just have those conversations and you can educate because you have the experience behind it.
Right, right. I love that. And, I think that, for example, between the two of us, we know a lot of people in the product packaging field that can help with that aspect of e-commerce and the what kind of pouch or bag or box do you need? How are we going to optimize the packaging for the supplier chain that you're going to be utilizing? What kind of stores is it going into? How is it going to be? Are you going to be providing the point of purchase display, or is it going to be put on shelves? So there's so many questions, and it can be very overwhelming. But to bring in, the experts and to ask a lot of questions in the beginning, so that goes back to the education before you just kind of jump into it and launch ask as many questions as you need to. But I do always say that you don't need to be 100% the way there with every single question and every single different outcome. At some point, the most successful brands, do take some risk, and they do launch. They kind of take that jump into it, maybe before they have 100% of the information, because some things are figured out along the way, and that's okay. But you don't want the big expensive things to happen because you did not ask the questions or you were not educated. And then you run into things down the road that are costing you a lot of money. There might be some things that can be adjusted and tweaked, but you don't want to have major overhauls done when you've already invested a lot of money.
Definitely. And the cohesiveness is huge, like you were talking about earlier, from your packaging to your social media to your website. And I always tell brands, I'm like, if I go from your social media to your website, I want to make sure that this looks like the same brand.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the times, there's a huge disconnect there, and people don't think about it that way. They're just like, oh, but my logo is the same. I'm like, oh, but there's so much more. Like, we got to have you visually aligned.
For
So,
sure.
I always think those types of conversations are very interesting to have with different brands. But if anyone wants to learn more and maybe they're going through a pitfall and they don't know where to go right now, how can they get in touch with you to talk with you?
Yeah, thanks. So the best way would be to go to our website, which is www.tms.marketing. Go to the contact page and you can set up a free brainstorming session with me, or you can text or call at 248-330-8787.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank you.